Welcome to Warmaster Podcast. I'm not sure how many of these videos I'll do. A, because I'm not sure how much my motivation for painting will last. Who knows? We're in a new world, so anything's possible. And I'm not sure how it'll be received, because I ain't the greatest of painters. But anyway, what I'd like to talk about is in November, I started painting as a mindfulness thing. Sounds a bit pompous, doesn't it? A bit, but whatever. A way of kind of distracting my mind by just doing mundane stuff like painting. So anyway, so I'm going to talk through the things I've been working on in November. I've done quite a lot, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not sure every month is going to be like this, but anyway, one of the projects that I'd had on go for absolutely fucking forever. In fact, so much so that you can probably see some of the basings different. I think these bases are different. Colour-wise, because I did some of them, maybe these ones, ages and ages and ages ago, and didn't make a note of what the palette I used was, and then I had to try and do these ones and the ones at the back to try and match it, which is obviously not very easy to do when you can't remember and you're kind of colour-blind a little bit. I'm not really colour-blind, but I'm just not very good with colours, so anyway, we're trying to do a Lord of the Rings Ent army. This is like a full-size 800-point army, I believe, or if that is still the going rate for Middle-earth Battle, as it's called now. If GW still have the game, even, I don't know, it's ages since I've played it, but I've had these Ents for ages, and I thought, wow, let's get them done. So I went for an autumnal theme. We've got some autumn leaves on the go here, and just basically contrast paints and some dry brushing and maybe washes, maybe, I don't know. Can't remember this one. This was one of the older ones. So I had 1.5 done. Well, one and this one and part of his base. And I've done these two this month, and I've got Treebeard on the go. Annoyingly, Treebeard, I've got these nice resin bases, but Treebeard didn't fit in one because he's got this massive metal lump on his feet, and it didn't sit very nicely at all, and I'm not into sculpting. This is like an 80-20 project. 80% of the reward for 20% of the work, so I wasn't going into kind of rebuilding the base. I had to use a wooden disc because I didn't want him to be smaller than the other ones, and some of these guys have got quite big bases, so it's a bit cheesy. I'm not enamored with the effect, but anyway, it is what it is, and it's basically get this fella table ready and get the army ready. So hopefully by the end of December I'll have got Treebeard and the other fella finished, and this particular project will be put to bed. Maybe it'll see the light of day, maybe it won't. Next up, 28mm Napoleonics. Holy moly, how in God's name did I get talked into this nonsense? So we have here, this is half a light battalion, and that's about 2/3 of a line battalion. 24 miniatures per battalion over 6 bases, or you could, I think some people sometimes put 6 miniatures per base on 4 bases, slightly bigger bases obviously. I think the game at the points we're normally playing at, not that I've ever played this, but is between about 8 and 10 battalions. So that is a phenomenal amount of painting, a couple of hundred 28mm miniatures. On the plus side, I picked the world's easiest army to paint, which is why I picked the Brunswicks. I didn't go black undercoat and then dry brushing, because I'm not a big fan of dry brushing. I find it quite tedious. So we have just a white undercoat and then the new black contrast paint, which it's not Black Templar. I think it's called Black Legion. It's pretty good stuff. It goes over well and leaves a little bit of highlight, low light, so you can see what's going on. So everything's contrast apart from a bit of metallics, and then the basing's kind of homemade, so a bit of static grass, and then we've got some tea leaves and some calci sand from when I had a bearded dragon. And this is definitely a just get them out job. You can't be messing around. Not that I ever do, like whatever you'd call Gold Demon standard painting. There's never any of that with me, but holy moly, you really cannot afford to do that with these guys. So the yellow stock means they're second light. You've got to get yourself one of these, haven't you? This is one of the things that happens whenever you start doing ancients or whatever. historics, you have to get yourself the Osprey Man-at-Arms book, so for the Brunswicks. So now I'm not an expert on Brunswicks, but I know that the yellow means second light on the stocks. And then we have here the first line, because they've got red stocks. And so we have 2/3 of a battalion with the rest here in mid paint. So I'll show you my my setup for speed painting. So everything's just bashed white. I've actually bought myself a little portable airbrush, which maybe I'll talk about in a future video, because the Halfords cans I used to buy for white undercoat are now 12 quid each, and it's like, come on, man, come on, 12 quid a can. And these, I think, are the spears that I got for Pike and Shot, maybe. They're quite long because 80 mil. I'm gonna have to buy some flags to go on them. So yeah. So the second project I'm working on, and I will probably be working on for the rest of my bloody natural life, is these Brunswicks, which, even though they got the world's simplest paint scheme, just by sheer weight of numbers, I've got to take forever. The final thing I've been working on are Cromarty Forge 15 mil ancients. These are Carthaginians, and there's also some Numidians in here to make up the army. So I've showed these on camera before. There are 3 elephants in the list. Bad boys. Only mediocre elephants, I believe, and Rid's got bloody elite. God damn him. 4 javelins. I'm not sure I've showed these on camera before. We've gone as far as possible for standardised uniforms. I know that's not historically accurate, but it just, the effort of thinking what colour should this guy's shawl be and what colour should this guy's pants be, it's just too much. It's too much, sir. So we just bashed them out with contrasts and a bit of metallics, Barry-based one for the mix at the bottom, and this is called clump foliage, the spongy stuff. So we've knocked out 4 units of javelins, so light infantry javelin, and then we've got the 4 units of 8 African spear. These are spear, long spear, they're not swordsmen in disguise or anything. Generally this is all metallics. There's a little bit of contrast on the skin and the plume and cloak, but generally it's contrast. And what I decided to do, I was going to do them on the lolly sticks here, but I didn't have enough access, so I decided to move them onto the bases and do the ends on the bases, just paint them as they come on the bases, and then put the rest, paint the rest on the lolly sticks, and then just assemble them later. I've gone for not very historically accurate uniforms, because in game I want to be able to see who's who. So if it's ever going to focus, so I've given each unit's got its own different colour. So one unit's orange, one's red, one's blue, one's green. That's not great historically, but it makes them useful on the table, that I can see which stands are part of which stands, and so there are going to be some compromises made for gaming purposes, because at the end of the day they're like gaming pieces rather than some kind of historical museum piece. I'm not overly interested in. I mean, they've got to look something like. So I mean, this test miniature here hopefully looks something like an African spearman would look like. But it's also a gaming piece, and that's its primary purpose. So I like these a lot, John, Mr. Cromarty Forge. They come out. They were really easy to paint. I decided to put the shields on. The shields come separately. I decided to put the shields on and just paint them with the shields on, and then just bash everything with a big Nuln Oil to tie everything together and dirty it down. So hopefully I'll get these ready before the 11th. I probably won't get much else done before the 11th out of the army list. And on or before the 11th, I'll show you the full army and show you the list breakdown. But anyway, this is where we're up to. This is November in the books, as the American friends would call it. It's in the books, and let's see how December goes.